Canada has responded to President Trump's tariffs with tariffs of their own.
Yeah, starting September 8th, cheese, seafood, clothing, and appliances could cost more. KLTV 7's Zori Jones tells us what this means for you.
It's a promise from economist Ray Perryman. If tariffs goes up, so does your cost.
80% or so of that has been ultimately passed on to consumers. At first, it was about 40%. It kept getting higher and higher.
In September, more than 700 American products will face new Canadian tariffs, some twice as costly as others. Still, furniture and clothing may get hit hardest, facing a 50% tax. Appliances, cheese, and seafood face a smaller but real 25% increase. This fight isn't new. Political science professor Stephen Gladys says East Texas has been caught in the dispute for years.
We have a long-standing dispute with Canada over softwoods and softwood lumber products. Very important in the economy of East Texas, obviously, very important to the Canadian economy.
John Barrett, a political science professor, says rising costs could become a problem for President Trump.
Well, whenever you have a trade war, inevitably you're going to start talking about, well, how much is this going to increase the price of goods that we're buying? And that's not good politically for the president and the Republicans.
Perryman says the biggest hit won't be at the grocery store. It will be at the hardware store, where building materials like lumber and plywood could cost more.
All the tariffs we've imposed in the past couple of years, they've added to the cost of the average household in East Texas about $1,500 a year.
Zori Jones, KLTV 7 News.
There's some other economists that say this round of tariffs amounts to about $10 billion, small compared to the overall U.S. economy.